Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy.
What did you do? Can't hear you.
Something happened.
I did it for a second week in a row where I left the browser open on our live feed. So we're gonna have to start all over, but that's fine. I'm not ashamed of my technical error.
It was
Do
echoing?
it again. No, I had the actual YouTube window open up on my laptop, and so same exact thing I did last time.
Well done.
We'll start again.
Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. There's the drive. Way back. It's
Playing a high drive into left. Back towards the track. He's at the track. He has it. He's the world champion from 2011. A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it to Rizzo. It's in time. And the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
This is the Team of Rivals podcast. No insiders, no anonymous sources, just passionate analysis from the bleacher seats. Here are your hosts, Ron Nuttall and Peter Geddes.
All right, everyone, welcome back for another week. This is kind of a midweek check-in. I know we usually record on this one night from now, normally, but this is a middle of the winter meetings. They don't end for another 2 days, but there have been not as many transactions as we'd like, but there has been a lot of rumor activity and a couple significant moves that we're going to get into a little bit later. But before then, Pete, you've had a busy week, man. I mean, have you been able to keep up
with what? Star Wars?
with I don't know what you're talking about. But
there's a lot going on. Be more specific.
There is a lot going on, and so I want to get into a couple of the. I think our two teams broke down kind of a dam this week. That was a kind of a log jam. I think of a bunch of relief pitchers. We're going to get into that. I think we'll tear that down. But yes, your question that you just texted me, I'm just going to answer yes. I'm not going to bother picking up my phone. Guys, everybody who's listening to this understands that I'm social media inept. Like, I don't know how these electronics and things work. I like hard connections and I like buttons.
No comment.
Like tactile things. I'm a BlackBerry guy if I had my choice. But anyway, so I'm getting off the rails here, and I don't mean to do that this early in the show. Usually we do this like a third of the way in, but
and then at the end when you forget how to run the closing music.
No, no, man. I've got that down now. This is I figured out how to tell an iPad not to shut the screen down, which helps tremendously.
No, you don't. You screwed it up 2 weeks ago.
Did I?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? If I had a batting average of how many times I've got it right, I'd be pretty good. Anyway, so speaking of batting averages, a lot of hitters talked about today. A few moves made. We're going to get into all of that. But before we get into anything else, Pete, you're looking down at something, man. I hate to interrupt you, but are you good?
I spilled.
I think we spilled a beer.
We did spill a beer.
Do you need a moment?
No. I'll get a moment when you introduce our guest.
All right. So I'm not only introducing a guest. We wanted to announce this yesterday. However, he needed to pass his physical before we could announce the.
He needed to check with
signing.
the wife.
My UCL is good.
His UCL is good. His wife is good. And joining us on the show, and a permanent fixture on the show, is a voice you've heard on here before. We're happy to have him, Elliott Dewey. Round of applause, everyone. That's right. Yeah,
that's right. Thank you.
No,
Thank you. Happy to be here. I was happy to fill in and pinch hit for Pete when he was gone. a few times and do a couple of the live episodes during the playoffs. I had a fantastic time, and it's exciting for me to come on here permanently and do this week to week. Baseball is one of my big passions in life, and I wouldn't say it's a problem, but it's certainly a hobby. So, and I appreciate you guys bringing me on and asking me to be a part of the show. So thank you.
No, man, we're glad to have you. And let me ask you guys this question. Since now we have on the show, we have 2 Cub fans and a Cardinal fan, right? I want to ask you guys a question like this, because this helps me determine whether I can trust anybody or not in life. And this is a general rule I live by.
You can't.
Pete, let me finish, man. So we have a Cub fan, a Cardinal fan, and a Cub fan. Is that a Cub sandwich or is that a Cardinal sandwich? This is going to tell me a lot by your answer, by the way. Pete, I'm going to start with you.
Sorry, it's a Cardinal sandwich.
Okay, Elliott.
Well, you don't call a peanut butter and jelly sandwich a bread sandwich. You call it a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because it's in the middle. So it would technically be a Cardinal sandwich.
Guys, as much as I wanted to have an argument about this, you both have answered the right way. And so you just totally torpedoed my... We can continue the show now because I was going to totally get into that. Because there's nothing that pisses me off more than a weather person that says it's going to be cloudy in the morning, sunny in the afternoon, and cloudy at night, and they call it a cloudy sandwich.
What?
Like, lying ass weather people. That is a sunny sandwich, right?
That is a sunny sandwich.
No, wait. Now I have a more.
We're on the same page. We're on the same page.
So is a hot dog a sandwich or not? Can I trust you?
Yeah, a hot dog's a sandwich.
I kind of agree with Pete. I would say that a hot dog is a sandwich, but I would say a wrap is not. A wrap is a wrap.
No, a wrap's a wrap
true.
because it's not between bread. It's within a tortilla.
I agree.
There we go.
All right.
We're all good.
We're off to a great start.
And if anybody ever tries to dispute that a hot dog is a sandwich, you immediately throw at them, okay, well then what's a hoagie? Because if they say a hoagie's a sandwich, you got them, because a hoagie is not completely sliced through that bun.
It is not.
So there it is. Wow. I mean, technically, according to Wikipedia, a sandwich is a food typically consisting of vegetables, sliced cheese, or meat placed on or between slices of bread. Well, a bun is bread.
And he's reading because you saw his eyes go left to right. He was sure about that.
He was.
And I'm pretty sure Chicago Dog has all that in there.
It does.
So Elliott, when we announced you, we have a certain fan on here that likes to comment, and he tries to draw Pete and I out all the time. And we played an audio clip of him last week, and I don't know if I still have it here.
I'm sure you do.
It's hilarious.
I still have it, and it's actually worth playing again because it's almost funnier when it has more beats than that. But I'll play a short portion of it, and then all right, guys, hang on.
Here's my whole take on this Stanton bull. He's not gonna. He's gonna be a disaster, catastrophe. He looks like one of those idiots who should be in Chicago or St. Louis, eating the out of some Chicago deep dish pizza because he's a moron. And
all right, that's enough. So
I have Elliott, to say, to defend Chicago pizza, Chris obviously doesn't really know pizza because most true Chicagoans don't consider deep dish pizza. They consider it treat. It's a pie. It's a casserole. Chicagoans know and enjoy thin crust. In fact, I think if you were to poll most like true Chicagoans, people who grew up in the area, they prefer thin pizza to the deep dish. It's just that every once in a while you get a deep dish. Deep dish is a tourist dish. When tourists come to Chicago, that's what they identify with Chicago, and so they get deep dish pizza. And all credit to the pizza makers who have identified that they can make a shitload of money off tourists who don't know the difference.
Kind of like Foster's in Australia, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because as I learned when I was in Australia, Foster's is
only tourists.
Yeah.
Only tourists order Foster's.
Yeah, that's right. Foster's is Australian for shit, or shite, or Foster's is Australian for tourist.
Yeah, no, I was there too in Darwin, Australia. I actually found a street sign with my last name on it. I've got a picture of it. I'm going to post it on here. Now I'm going to be forced to find this picture, which is probably up in the attic in some box, but I'm going to put it on there. But this the street name was exactly my last name, which, as you guys know, Australia was a penal colony for the English at one point in time. Yeah, so that's where my last name ended up. I'm pretty sure my coat of arms and my family name was a couple of ball and chains on there. So
you just keep going there, aren't you?
Why not? Anyway, so we need to get to the real sport here, and that's what's happened. So we're in the middle.
Wait! Before you get to it, you glossed right over the other big piece of news.
Yeah,
we're on Spotify.
Dude, this was your job to bring up the social media. Start from the beginning.
You launched into Elliott.
I did, didn't I?
You did.
We talked about it. We agreed on this.
We had a plan. We had a plan.
And I think you missed the point to where he already made a comment at me saying, I must be some guy that loves deep dish pizza.
Pizza.
And my response back was, well, I'm not eating that New York thin cardboard shit.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. So I moved on because we got into historical facts about pizza. But yeah, you're right. No, Chris tries to draw us out every once in a while. Sometimes we take the bait. Most times we don't. But yeah, so you're right, Elliot. He said, "Oh, great, another guy who likes deep dish crap, whatever float." But you shot one back. He hasn't responded yet, but I have a feeling if he listens to this podcast and we call him out,
coming.
He did like my comment though.
He did like your comment. Did he? Did he?
Yeah, he didn't respond. He just liked the comment.
I wonder what his assessment is going to be if the rumors become true and his team follows through and trades for Manny Machado and for Garrett Cole. Is he going to still be talking shit?
He should be. I mean, imagine this, right? I mean, regardless of he's trying to draw us out. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But
which he's successfully done, because here we are talking about him at the beginning of our show about the Cubs and the Cards.
Even if we said we weren't going to pander to this shit, we're doing it.
Well done, Chris.
Yeah, you've succeeded. Anyway, so would you not do it if you were in his place, though? I mean, think about it. Like if you actually were able to obtain Machado, Stanton, and Cole.
Oh my God, yes.
The only drawback to that is that you're only getting Machado for a year.
However, the Yankees were lovable at the end of last year. Do you guys not agree?
They were.
Because they were a young team. They weren't bought.
Yep. They were now arriving early.
Potentially within the matter of like weeks, they've become the old Steinbrenner team.
Empire, yeah.
And so
they have gone to the dark side again.
Yeah, I guarantee you, if they pick up too much talent and we know it's unnatural, yes, people will hate them again.
I kind of feel like I'm reliving the other night with my son. We were watching Attack of the Clones, and he turned to me and he said, "Dad, well, look, I feel
that's the hardest
like
one to rewatch.
I feel like my son needs to understand. Look, if you're not,
I get it.
If you're not going to repeat the mistakes of the past, you have to understand what happened." So he turned to me at the end of it, and I had been telling him that we were going to watch the prequels because he was going to see how it was that Darth Vader became bad. And he turned to me at the end of Attack of the Clones and he said, "Dad, when's Darth Vader going to be bad?" And I said, "It comes in the next one." But then we talked through all the little things that Anakin had done that indicated he was moving towards the dark side.
Okay.
I kind of feel like I'm seeing a replay of that with the Yankees, right? So we've already seen Anakin, we've seen him lose his shit about his assignment to watch over Padme and not investigate. and that's the trade for Stanton. But Machado and Garrett Cole, man, that's slaughtering younglings.
That is slaughtering younglings and having a legion of 501st and white and blue armor following you into the temple. And
that's right.
If they are able to acquire that much star power overnight, virtually,
oh my God,
guys, we're all going to hate them. I mean, we're all going to be unified. We're unified. I mean, we're a unified podcast for the most part until the season starts. But if this were to happen, seriously, guys, we would hate to see one another's team make it to the World Series, but if it was against the Yankees and they acquired this much shit, would we not be rooting for the lesser to overcome?
Oh my God! If it was a Cards Yankee, if the Yankees pull this all off and it ends up being a Cards Yankees World Series, I am all in on the Cardinals.
Would you wear a hat?
That might be a bridge too far, Ron.
Elliott,
it's not like I lost a bet. It's not like I lost a poorly chosen bet and decided.
I made some poor bets.
Hats are important to me, so I might wear a T-shirt, but it would have to be like a vintage 1980s,
like a blue, like a powder blue.
Yeah.
Like maybe an Ozzie Smith.
Ooh, good choice.
Absolutely.
I like that, the powder blue.
Right.
I'd go for the
if the Cardinals make it to the World Series this year, guys, we can do a live podcast during it, and I will acquire 2 powder blue jerseys for both of you, and you will wear them.
Only if they play the Yankees.
Not the Red
Sox.
Sox.
Him ponder that.
I did ponder.
He has to think about that.
Not the Yankees. You wouldn't do it. I'm sorry, not the Red Sox. You wouldn't do it for the Red Sox. Come on.
No.
Come on. Why not the Red Sox?
Because they're not the evil empire.
Yeah, I'd cheer for the Red Sox.
Haven't they been corrupted? Oh God, you son of a bitches! All right, fine. Let's talk about the moves that have been made this week. So, we haven't been able to talk about a couple moves. So the Cubs signed Brandon Morrow, who was a sought-after reliever who had appeared in the World Series, was obviously with the Los Angeles Dodgers, made it late in the postseason.
You're selling him short. You're selling him short. He didn't just appear in the World Series. He appeared in all 7 games. He's only the second player in history to do that.
And he's got a damaged UCL. Oh wait, that's the other guy. We haven't even talked about that, guys. Hold on, stop.
What's his name?
If you have to say it right.
I'm blanking on. Oh yeah, that's right. Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, you sound like Steve Phillips, which is the voice I hate hearing the most when he says that name.
Oh,
he does slow down.
Shohei Ohtani.
That's better. I would love that. I would love that.
Ohtani's on. Oh, I think I just got fired.
Maybe. Okay, guys. So we'll talk about the Ohtani thing because that's another big thing. But I was hoping to reserve that for later. I opened it up. But Brandon Morrow to the Cubs. What do you guys think? You're both Cub fans. I got to hear your take on it first. I'm indifferent, to be honest with you. I mean, I think the Cardinals
I hope he can continue the success that he had this past season. I mean, the guy was shut down. Every time he came in, I felt like there's not going to be anything going on this inning. He is going to shut everybody down. His stuff was just electric. I thought he was one of the most impressive pitchers in the postseason this last year.
Yeah,
okay. That wasn't soft at all, Pete.
You look at it. 43 2/3 innings last year in 45 appearances, and he gave up 0 home runs. That's impressive. I'm a little concerned with how much he was used by the Dodgers in the postseason, but there could be nothing better for him than to end up getting the closer's job for the Cubs, because then he's not going to get overused. You're not going to get your closer up unless you're going to bring him into the game. And so that's going to save his arm, and that I think would mitigate some of the risk that you might be concerned about with the use that he had last year. And an aggressive move too by the Cubs, because they signed him to a 3-year deal. So this is a commitment not just for the 2018 season, but this is a commitment for down the road.
Yeah, Pete, I agree with both you guys, because you mentioned that the overuse, but you know what? Think about this, right? So he wasn't the closer for the Dodgers. They also had a guy named Kenley Jansen who was pretty damn good, right, in the closer's role. So I think this is to me, it feels like a low risk bet that the Cubs are placing on somebody that can close out games. Now, I want to ask both of you guys, since you follow the Cubs so well. I mean, so Rendon was not extended an offer to stay with the Cubs. Did that surprise you guys at all?
No, not at all.
No,
he hasn't been the same pitcher since 2016, and he was due to get a lot of money in arbitration. They had to let him go.
Okay, what about the rumor? And I only heard this come up once today on the Twitters, and I pronounce that in plural. Is that right?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. On the interwebs.
Okay. Jesus, I'm making baby steps. So Trevor Rosenthal, the Cubs really considering signing him to a 2-year contract?
Wait,
What?
I read it today.
I did not see that at all. The only thing that I read that the Cubs could possibly be going after is keep an eye on Wade Davis.
Yes,
The
because
Cubs could potentially be bringing Wade Davis back, and I think it was Gordon Whitmire who said.
Now, why would they do that? Why would they do that with signing Brandon Morrow? By the way,
because it sounds like the market for Wade Davis isn't developing as he had anticipated or had hoped. The word is that he was looking for a 4 or a 5-year deal, and it doesn't sound like that is out there. And if he's going to have to settle for a 3-year deal, he might be a realistic signing for the Cubs.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
Any
still got
there you would see
because the Cubs can still kind of wait. I mean, they still have other options, even if Brandon Morrow doesn't end up being that guy that's going to be the shutdown closer. I mean, they still have the Justin Wilson project that's back there. I mean, if he can still be the guy that he was when he was with the Mariners, you never know. I mean,
yeah. All right. I expected you guys to react to that more violently, and you disappointed me, so that's fine.
We're here to disappoint you, Ron.
Yeah, evidently. All right. So the Cardinals signed a guy by the name of Luke Gregerson, and nobody's going to remember this listening to this podcast, but the Cardinals once traded, he was a farmhand, and the Cardinals traded Luke Gregerson to the Padres for Khalil Green, part of a package. Khalil Green came back to the Cardinals as what would have been their starting shortstop, and of course that didn't work out. Khalil Green hasn't played baseball for I don't know how long, but he couldn't. He had some he had some issues there, but he couldn't play anymore. Luke Gregerson stuck, and he had, I think, a steady career. I think last year was a down year for him with Houston. All of his numbers were up. His home runs given up, fly balls, strikeout ratio to contact, all that stuff was off last year. Now, when you play in the Astros and you pitch 81 games, or you're exposed to 81 games in Houston. Is that an anomaly? Is the question. But anyway, he signed for 2 years, I think $11 million with St. Louis, and they brought him in, I think, just for padding in the bullpen. I don't think they're asking this guy to close out games. They're not asking him to set up. It's just one of those.
He's a depth signing.
Arms.
Yeah.
I think so. And so who knows how it's going to work out. I don't have a feeling one way or the other whether it's going to work or not, but I know that the more bullpen arms or potential bullpen arms that St. Louis acquires, the better. Call it attrition rate at this point. I don't care. I mean, but I think that those. Pete, I'm not saying those two signings broke the dam, but I think they helped with moving this along. So we've seen a lot of their moves happen since then.
They clearly did, because I think that they set the market for relievers, and that ultimately is where all the movement has been so far these winter meetings. I was looking at I read something earlier today, and I don't think that it's changed as of this point. The only player who wasn't a pitcher or a catcher who has signed a free agent deal was God, completely blanking. Martin played with the Cubs this past year.
Leonis.
Thank you. Leonis Martin. He's the only position player who's not a catcher who has signed a free agent contract so far this offseason. So that'll show you.
Not been traded, right?
Right. I mean, there have been plenty of trades, but as far as like free agent signings, he's the only position player who's signed so far.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting about this market. Like, I think a lot of people went into this thinking, bullpen, starting pitcher, hitter, whatever. I think a lot of teams. I don't know. You guys chime in if you think I'm wrong about this, but I think a lot of people went in going, I think we're going to go the trade route and then go the free agent route if the trade route doesn't work, right? And I think that's kind of what we're seeing that's happening. So we're seeing that. So I think the markets for Wade Davis, Jake Arrieta,
and you're
all the
not
free agents that are pending,
and you're not going to get a get a relief pitcher typically in a trade because you're not going to get much of a return back for them, especially during the offseason. So there's no incentive for the team that owns the rights to a reliever to make that trade during the offseason. Their value comes during the season as you get closer to the trade deadline, and the teams that are in contention start to define themselves. So why would you trade off, even a marginal prospect for a reliever when you can just sign a reliever for a reasonable amount of money in the offseason, especially this year when there are so many relievers on the market?
No, and I think you're absolutely right. I mean, why would you? Well, they're rarely ever signed as free agents anyway because they have a short lifespan. I mean, most relievers do, right? Whether you're a closer, a middle relief guy. I mean, it's just seems like that's just kind of their fate. I mean, they're 3, 4, maybe 5 years if they're lucky. Guys that stick it out, but I don't know. That's kind of what it feels like what's happening. But Elliott, anything to add on that part as far as relievers? So I'm ready to pivot to something a little more exciting. It's called Boom Boom. Boom.
You want to talk about the Cubs signing Drew Smiley? All right. But Elliott, first.
I do want to get to that. But Elliott, so the relief corps, what's your take on all this? I mean, the relief movement, there's still quite a bit of shuffling I think is going to happen with relievers.
I mean, you do have so many switching of hands during the season that you don't usually have to give up so much. And I feel like a lot of these teams don't want to give up the cash to get these guys because they could probably get them either cheaper during the season with trade pieces. So it's almost like they keep their eyes on the guys now and then hope that they're going to be available later during the season for probably cheaper, or if wherever the market goes, which it looks like it's going down, get them for less as the winter kind of goes on. And we're seeing it now with some of the starters too, because Jake Arrieta's still out there. I mean, he's been looking for a lot of money. I heard like $200 million, but that's not going to happen. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Jake goes for somewhere around 100.
Guys, I was on my lunch break today. I jumped in my car and I turned on MLB radio, and they had Scott Boras on for about 40 minutes of my lunch break. And I tell you, as much as we rag on the guy, right? And I would love for that guy to write a book on his one-liners, because he had a one-liner today, and I think I retweeted it, that he had stated when talking about the Marlins that they had went from a fine jewelry store to a pawn shop, which they've done that, 3 or 4 times over the last 2 decades, right?
This might be the worst example of it, though, this year.
It is.
I've never seen a team start throwing out their play. I mean, seriously.
And they're not getting it.
Jeter's sitting in his chair. He's going, "You get a player."
Well, guys.
And what's frustrating about it is they're not getting anything back for it.
No.
They basically dumped Stanton.
Let's segue into this. Let's segue into this whole Marlins thing, because I'm fascinated by this, and I want to get both of your takes on this, and Pete, especially yours, because we've wanted to bring this up, but we've somehow bypassed it in our last 2 recordings. That we've wanted to talk about how we feel about what the Marlins have been doing, what this Jeter ownership group has been doing. Let's go right into it, because I think Scott Boras is right. I mean, rarely do we agree with him, right? I mean, we don't deny that he's a great agent. He gets his players the max, but a couple of his one-liners today are goddamn true, and they're hard to argue with. Now, his statement that they went from a jewelry store to a pawn shop is absolutely true. I say they've done that 3 times in the last 2 decades, and somebody corrected me and said, no, 4. Have they done it 4 or 3? I want to start with you, Pete. Pete, have the Marlins done this thing where they've brought up a bunch of talent and then just ripped it apart? I mean, I remember 3 times in my adult life, but maybe I'm missing one. So let's start from their inception, like 1993, right? 1997.
I can only think of 3 times that they've done this. This, I think, is the most egregious. because at least in the past they were doing it after they won the World Series. In this case, they just sold the team, and now they're trying to get. And I understand, and I'm not disputing the financial ramifications that they're operating under.
Right.
But this is just ridiculous. Derek Jeter got took in the Stanton deal and in the Ozuna deal. He got took. He got nothing back. He got shit. And then they just released Edinson Volquez today as well. Released him. Didn't even try to do it. Just released him. I understand he's injured, but released him. Didn't try to swing for, your 30th best prospect in your system. For somebody to take a flyer on his potential to come back. Just let him go. And while they maintain that they're not getting rid of Christian Yelich, that they're going to build around him, he's gone. He's gone. Somebody's gonna come up, and it's not even going to be a good deal. That's the frustrating thing. Like earlier today, you and I were talking. We were texting back and forth, and I said, I can only imagine the return that they're going to get on Christian Yelich, because I assumed that they were getting a monster return from the Cardinals, and they didn't. They got your 6, your 9, your 13, and a throw-in. So your top 5 prospects, they didn't have to get rid of to get an impact outfielder. Now, either the Cardinals aren't sold on Ozuna's renaissance this past season, or else Derek Jeter just really sucks at this. So I'm not convinced that they're going to get a haul on Yelich.
Yeah. All right, I hope he sucks at it, because I would love to see the Cubs go after Yelich and not get rid of anything.
Well, now's your window, I think. But no, Pete, you're absolutely right. I mean, I looked at this and I was like, I was kind of cringing too, because when you acquire a talent like that, I knew it was going to cost more than Stanton, which is curious. It's like, what would the Cardinals? They were willing to take on as much salary as the Yankees were. What talent would the Cardinals had to get rid of? And I think Alcantara would still been part of the equation.
I'm sure,
but I don't think it would have been Magneuris Sierra. It would have been lesser, right? Now,
and meanwhile, the Cubs trade for a closer 2 years ago, and they have to give up their best prospect. And then last year they trade for, at best, probably a number 2 starter, and they give up their 2 remaining best prospects, their best pitching prospect and their best hitting prospect. So either Theo and Jed reek of desperation when they're going for the playoffs, or Derek Jeter is just a really terrible at this job. I
would err on the side of caution. I would say Derek Jeter really sucks at this so far. Like, he can't charm his way out of this, man. You can't give a grin. You can't grin your way out of it. You can't cool your way out of it. I think that it's going to be interesting to see how this Miami ownership unfolds, because I get this feeling now that if we could rewind the clock back 3 or 4 months, I don't think he would do this. I think this is like, oh shit, man, I don't need this. The fact that he's not even showing up at the winter meetings. Oh, he's not even arriving there. That he decided to go to a Dolphins game like 3.5 hours away instead.
Did you see Buster Olney on MLB Network talking about that?
I did not.
He lit, like he lit Jeter up. He's like, I can't believe he's not here. He's like, I understand that some owners aren't here, but he needs to learn about running the business of owning a baseball team. And Buster was pretty much saying, at this point, it doesn't look like Jeter knows anything about it.
Well, and Jeter's not just an owner. He's the head of baseball operations. So this is not like an owner not showing up. This is like this is like Theo or Mo not showing up at the winter meetings.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I feel so bad for
I would love for Mo not to show up, man. I would just that would be like open season. Dude, I would get to
smoking a cigar and watching the dollar bills roll in. That's not how this works.
No, not with the Miami Marlins. It's not.
No.
And Ron and I were texting back and forth about this earlier today. And the stunning thing is that Florida is somehow unable to support baseball. And that surprises me. One, because of spring training. Because there should be baseball favored because of spring training. Although that's because you have a lot of people who are escaping
some kind of legacy, Pete. Kind of legacy established that you're familiar with baseball in the region.
Right. But then you look at football, right? Florida supports three, really, depending on the time of
Tampa Bay, Miami, Jacksonville.
No, I'm not talking about professional. I'm talking about college.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Florida State and Miami.
Florida State, Miami, UCF.
Right. FIU sometimes has a good program, and then they're able to support 2.5 NFL teams.
And they got Lane Kiffin, and they got Lane Kiffin down there now. I mean,
but they can't support 2 baseball teams.
Yeah,
and they are arguably half the home of Major League Baseball.
And you would think that the Marlins attendance record would go up because now it's indoors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't have to sit out there in 100-degree heat. And it's one of the.
But Elliott, the other thing is like, especially a Miami team, right? When they have a Cuban population, a Latin American population down there, and they've got players like Ozuna, and it's like shit. Yeah. I mean, they had the mix down there where you would have thought that this team would have appealed to the audience, to the fan base that would have been in Miami, but it just hasn't worked. It's counterintuitive. Pete, you said that earlier on a text. This is counterintuitive. Like, you would have thought this whole thing would have worked when they signed Jose Reyes, right, in 2011. Mm-hmm. You would have thought that players like this that were from the region would have appealed to those fans that are in that area, but it just hasn't. Man, it just hasn't worked out. I don't understand why. I mean, none of us are down there, so we don't get the full picture. Maybe we should call the Dan Lebertard show.
I'm sure he's got some insight.
I'm sure he would not give us the time of day.
Maybe his dad would.
Oh, I'd love to get Poppy on here. The Team of Rivals podcast. I would love to get just one take. One take. I would love it.
You can ask.
I can ask.
I think his dad's on the Twitters, Ron.
Is he? God, that's embarrassing because I don't even know how to do it. Anyway, guys, so we talked about some pitchers. We talked about Miami. Wow, we talked about we really got deep into the Marlins there. I didn't expect that tonight because I expected. But to finish up,
God, I feel bad for them, and I think Stanton nailed it in his introductory press conference. Telling Marlins fans,
yeah,
if you're going to watch from afar. Basically saying, don't go to the games, don't support them. Don't support this until they get it fixed.
No, and I'm glad you brought it up because there were a lot of like with any fan base, right? When a free agent or somebody denies your team or doesn't want to sign with you, there's a few people that get a sore ass about stuff like this. But Stanton was pretty clear, and like he wanted to. He spent his last 7 or 9 years at the major league level not winning. Like he's not played for a winning team, so he looked at the 4 teams that he felt were ready to win right away. And he said, hey, look, it's basically the LCS teams, right? Dodgers, Astros, and so on and so on. And the Cubs were one of them. So, I mean, I can't blame that guy. Okay, man, I get it. You've suffered through this whole extensive thing with Miami. So you want to win. Don't blame me for picking that. But my point was, Pete, is like there were some St. Louis fans that were like pissed off, like, oh, you don't appreciate our tradition. Like, guys, it's not that he does, but he just didn't see the Cardinals as right away being able to be that winner within 1 or 2 years. And that's why he said no.
And if his account of the meetings is accurate, and I would assume it was, he sat down with Jeter and they talked about this, and Jeter said, we're looking to rebuild. And he said, we're fine on the offensive side. We just need to add pitching. And Jeter said, nah, we're going to rebuild this. Well, why would you want to stay? If you have an ownership group that is not committed to trying to improve your situation, but instead is looking for ways to get out from under it, I don't blame him at all for saying, that's it, I'm done.
Nope.
Get me out of here.
Do you think it was more about rebuilding and less about the money problems that they seem to be having down there?
It's about the money. Clearly, it's about the money.
Yeah.
But now they're at a point, obviously, where they kind of feel like, there's nothing holding us back. We might as well go all in. And that's why, Ozuna got dealt today. And I think that Yelich, it's only a matter of time. They're at the point now where I think that they kind of have made the calculation of we got nothing to lose. We've already pissed off our fans, so let's go for it. Let's go for the complete gut rehab.
Except 100
start over.
Games.
Yeah, that's gonna be. Imagine if you're Yelich right now. I mean, they've got to deal him, guys. You think that, right? I mean, they have to. I mean, he's
that's what the report is that their intention is to build around him, but that they're going to have the conversation with him. Well, is he really going to sign on for that?
Is he gonna want to remain?
I cannot imagine that there is any Major League Baseball player, especially considering how relatively inexpensive he is on his contract. I can't imagine there's any Major League Baseball player who would say, "Oh no, please,
please keep me here,
and let me be miserable for the next 3 or 4 years."
Well, and think about
unless they restructure his contract and pay him a shitload of money to stay, he's going to go into that meeting and say, "Get me the hell out of here."
Yeah.
No, not even this peak, because you guys aren't thinking about this, right? I mean, so Yelich, you're Christian Yelich last year. You either have Stanton batting in front of you or Ozuna behind you or reverse or whatever, right? Now you don't have those guys there.
Yeah, nobody.
So what's going to happen to your performance?
Oh, yeah.
If you stick around, you have nobody behind you, nobody in front of you. People can just pitch around you. Your stats and shit are going to go down. I mean, they have really screwed this guy over. He needs to get the hell out of there, and they need to do him a service by getting him the hell out of there. And I tell you what, as big of a return they got on Stanton and Ozuna, they can get twice as much on Yelich. They need to get rid of him. They're stupid right now.
Except you forget
guys, no. Let me finish, guys. In the words of Tropic Thunder, I don't want to offend anybody.
Don't go full retard.
If they're gonna go full retard, they might as well just get rid of Yelich too.
Well, but they already have gone full retard because Derek Jeter is running the franchise.
Elliott, your first official thing on there, we did it, man. We shouldn't have done that. I'll edit it out.
I mean, seriously.
I'm just saying, if they've gone full stupid, they just should have done it.
No, go say full retard. We're quoting a movie. It's full retard.
You can do it.
Right. In the words of Robert Downey Jr.
Looking at the 2 transactions that he has now made as the director of baseball, president of baseball operations, or whatever it is, do you have any confidence in what Derek Jeter is going to be able to get back for Christian Yelich?
No.
There you go.
No. But they still have to get rid of him.
Yeah, they do. Well, they're going to have to get rid of him because he doesn't want to stay.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was more of a cash transaction than prospect transaction for Yelich.
Well, but he's got so many years of cheap control that
5.
Somebody's going to have to give up some talent for him. Now, that talent, imagine getting that call, right? Like you're a double A guy, you're up and coming. You're like, you've been traded to the Marlins. You're like,
what?
Seriously? Like, you might as well just send me somewhere else, like, Minneapolis Saints.
I think I may retire.
Think about it.
St. Paul Saints.
When he signed the contract, right? They had just locked in Stanton for his contract.
Right.
They had Ozuna, and he agreed. His contract.
He forego his arbitration years. Yes.
Yeah. This is gonna make you sick. In 2015, March 2015. He agreed to a 7-year, $49.5 million contract. That's
oh my God!
So unbelievably cheap.
That's cheaper than what Rizzo's was.
Yeah,
and Rizzo's was cheap.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Wow.
All right. We're running to the wee hours here, guys. So the final move.
Wait, the final real move or the final speculative move?
Well, we can go speculative if we want. So
we'll get there.
All right, Pete, go ahead. And what move is on your mind? I'm curious.
Which one, the speculative or the real one?
Real one.
You guys traded for Marcell Ozuna. Hats off, man.
I was waiting for that.
I honestly. Good for you. This is a great move for you. You got him for a pittance. Like I said before, Derek Jeter got took. It's the big bat that you guys were looking for all year. It clears the way for Piscotty to go out to Oakland to be close to his mom, which is
a humanitarian baseball move.
Absolutely huge, wonderful move. Good for them. I think that it means that your wife's crush is also going to be moved out eventually.
Oh, you mean the jawline?
Yeah, the jawline.
Yeah.
The jawline.
Yeah.
Jawline, your wife's crush, Randall Grichuk, whatever you want to call him. I think it clears the way for him to get moved as well. Although I don't know what for, but hey, hats off to you. The only thing I'm concerned about is apparently the rumor is that right now, the way that they're lining up, it's going to be Ozuna in left, Pham in center, and Fowler in right.
No. I saw the same.
That's a mistake. That's a mistake putting Derek Fowler in right field. Sorry.
Derek Fowler. I'm not sure.
Sorry. Dexter. Well, I don't know. I'll say that
Whatever. I know what you meant. I'll
say that I played minor league baseball with his brother, Derek. How's that?
Fine. No, I think
you're going to see every team in baseball running if the ball gets hit to right field.
Yeah,
because nobody is going to respect his arm.
I think somebody had that a little bit backwards. I think you're going to see Tommy Pham in center field. I think you'll see Dexter Fowler in left, and obviously Marcell Ozuna will have to man right field. Has to be the way this. I think that's a pretty good outfield. I mean, if I had to go into this,
here's what I'll throw out at you. Who do you think's more likely to get moved, Fowler or Grichuk? Because apparently they are listening on offers for Fowler. They're not shopping him, but they're listening.
No, I think they have to. If it's me, right? You're just asking me, and I know you're asking me to speculate on and dude, you're asking me to predict, look into a crystal ball, and I have no idea what the hell they're thinking at this point, because my fear is segue, and I'll come back, but my fear is that typically what this ownership group and this front office does, they think they're done now, and I'd say they're not. They shouldn't be done.
I don't think they're done.
I
don't
wouldn't
think that they think they're done.
I think they my fear is that they think they're done, and they shouldn't be. You think
so?
Done.
Gregerson and Ozuna, and they're done?
My fear is I think
and
they're done. Yeah, no, my fear is I think that they think they're done, and they shouldn't be done, and that's my fear.
I don't think they are.
That's my fear, and I hope. Look, guys, I hope you're right, but I know my team, and I know that they like to throw out the phrase "low-hanging fruit, dry powder." And they've used that for about 4 or 5 years now. And they keep that powder dry for decades at a time. I love this move because they needed that impact bat, and I know people that are nervous about giving away Sandy Alcantara and Magneuris Sierra. Look, I like those players too. And Sierra, when they pulled him up, surprisingly, in mid-year last year, because they had to. He provided a spark plug because he had speed, he had athleticism, and you know what? Our outfield didn't as much. And I think that it had an effect that, oh my God, this young guy came up from Double-A that we didn't predict. I'm a major leaguer. I'm an established guy here, a veteran, and somebody's hustling more than me. Somebody's faster than me. Do you guys not think that provides a spark plug in some way? It provides motivation indirectly or directly to you as a player when somebody comes up to you or comes up and is starting in your spot that you're normally starting, and they're faster. They may not be able to hit better than you, but they're faster. They're trying because they want to win. They want to win your job. So when that happens, I think that we saw a spark in St. Louis last year, even though it lasted for a short period of time. But when Sierra came up, there was a momentum shift there. I mean, the Cardinals got a little faster. They got a little younger. They got a little peppier. Of course, he got sent back down. We all knew that because he was up covering for an injury. So we liked what we saw from Sierra. He provided a spark plug. It was a temporary thing at the time, but we all thought he could be really good leadoff hitter, athletic, great defender in the outfield. But the question around Sierra was, is he going to be a hitter, right? Much like the Reds have always had about Billy Hamilton. Fast as hell, can play defense, but can he hit? That's always been the knock on Hamilton. That's the same thing with Sierra. Is he going to hit in the long term?
Well, yeah, speed is useless if you can't get on base.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, Billy Hamilton. I mean, that's why I've been unimpressed with that guy his whole career. Because, yeah, fine, you got on base. Well, or you pinch run for Joey Votto. Yeah, you can steal a base, but you can't get on base yourself. And that's. I'm not saying that's going to be serious fate, but it's just
that guy gets on base at a 360 to 380 on base percentage. He's going to steal like 100 bases in a year, because he is just unstoppable when he gets on base.
What, Hamilton?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, but that's the big if, right? Like if he can get on base, right? And that's always been the knock on him. Now, as far as Alcantara, I didn't get much exposure to him, and none of us did in his major league debut. He came up late last year. They say he has an electric arm. He's got velocity. He's got movement. But it's like, all right, this is what the Cardinals built. This is Pete. We've talked about this on our previous shows about your Cubs team. This is why you build a farm system. This is why you draft well. This is why you develop players. It's not that you think 100% of them are going to come up and be Cubs. They're going to be used to acquire talent.
Right.
So this is what the Cardinals had to do, and they had to do it because they had to have a bat.
Absolutely. And credit to the Cardinals front office on not giving up their very best talent in order to land that bat.
Right. And they didn't have to. And there were a couple of names in there I was hoping I wouldn't hear, and I didn't. But you know what? Those names could be used for something else. I mean, if they're not done yet, those names are protected. Right. I mean, if they're seriously talking a Donaldson trade or anybody else, I mean,
Machado.
Let's
get into that. Who would you rather trade for? Donaldson or Machado?
I think. Okay, fine. Are you asking me right now?
I'm asking you right now. Who would you rather land? Because both of them are done at the end of the year, right? Both of them are become free agents.
Yeah.
So who do you go for?
So you get 1 year of control.
You get 1 year of control, and it's going to cost you. Machado is probably going to cost you more.
Machado is definitely, without a question, is going to cost you more because he's younger, right? I would be more inclined to, guys. I'm going to throw you off on this. I wouldn't do either at this point. I wouldn't trade for Donaldson or Machado. Here's my thing, guys. I am now saying, guys, you got Ozuna, right-handed bat. I think they should go after Eric Hosmer and just sign Hosmer.
Well, he does have prestige value. I don't know if you had caught that.
He's got gray hair. But he's got gray. No. There's a logic. There's a logic to this. And I heard Scott Boras talk over lunch today. And he sold me on Eric Hosmer. And I wasn't sold on Eric Hosmer. I wasn't sold on him until I heard Scott Boras talk.
Because you had never considered prestige value before, had you?
Prestige worldwide. That's like the Step Brothers thing, right?
Boats and hose.
The effing Catalina wine mixer. And Eric Hosmer.
Yeah, and it was Scott Boras yelling it at me. And I was like, yes, I want it. I want to lease all your helicopters. Let's go. Yeah, no. To answer your question, I know I really didn't answer. You said either one of these guys. If you narrow my choice down to one of those two guys, obviously I'm going to say Donaldson because I think he's going to cost less. And I think their chances of probably retaining him. Who is Donaldson's representation? It's not Boras, right?
I don't think so.
No.
Well, there's my answer. I think their chances of being able to trade a little bit less for him is better.
The trade's got nothing to do with the.
Well, I'm saying the talent they have to give up to get him in the first place. I think it's going to be a little bit less for Donaldson because he's a little bit older. And I think because he's a little bit older, the years on the contract would be less. So I'd say that's where the Cardinals would probably likely to go. I don't think they'll go in either direction, though, Pete. I don't think the Cardinals will be serious about acquiring either one of these two guys.
Interesting. Because it certainly sounds like they've made a serious offer to land Machado. But there are four other teams, if the reports are to be believed, there are four other teams who are in on Machado.
Yeah, it's just, I know you've heard me say this before, it's just not a very Cardinal thing to do. I don't see him doing it.
So
see
reportedly,
him
at least the last time that it was reported, Donaldson is represented by Dan Lozano and MVP, MVP Sports. That was in 2014. I can't imagine that that he has changed to that.
Probably not.
Wait, he's not qualified for free agency until 2019, so you would actually get him for 2 years.
I thought Donaldson was done after this year.
So did I.
Huh.
Great. We have another unprepared podcast show.
Shocking. We've done what, 60 plus?
We've done a lot.
Oh no! See, now this one says 2018.
Yeah,
and this is more recent. So yeah,
see,
2018.
No. I heard on MLB Network tonight, like on TV, that Ozuna had 3 years of control left when I knew he only had 2.
Yeah, he's got 2. Yelich has 5.
So 2.
Yep.
Right. So never trust what you read. But guys, so we haven't had as many things that we thought would happen, but we've had at least some significant moves. So we got one more day left tomorrow, and I call it a Thursday, right? I mean, that's what it is. But do we think that, like the head of this big charming expression, is the head of this offseason zit going to pop tomorrow? Or do you think it's going to linger on past? I mean, we're already on Thursday, man. I mean, usually we hear about most of the things that are going to break. Do it by Wednesday, but they haven't. So
I think it's done.
Well, you think it's done? You think it's going to? Some of the other things are going to drag on. Then you think Arrieta's going to drag on a little while?
I think Arrieta's not going to get signed until late January, February.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all talked about that early on, Elliot. I think you actually on one of the shows when we said, he's a Boris client. It's going to be drug out for.
Yeah. And I don't think
very long time.
I think that Darvish is going to take just as long. I think it's going to take one of those two to sign before the other one signs.
Yeah.
Because Darvish is going to sign it.
Well, Arrieta and Darvish are the last 2 pretty big pitchers out there that still need to be signed.
Right. And they're not going to – it's going to take one of them getting, I think, a sufficient deal based on what they're seeing in the market in order to say, okay, I'm going to take that, even though it's below what they're asking for. And I have a feeling that Darvish is going to be the first one to sign, because Boris is asking for 7 years, $200 million, and he's not going to get it. But he's not going to back off. He's going to wait to see what the market bears, and he's going to wait for Darvish to get signed. I don't think it's going to go the other way around, unless somebody agrees to exactly what they're asking for, and somebody signs Arrieta to 6 years at $180 million. Then that might be the first. That would be the only circumstance in which I see Arrieta getting signed first. I think Darvish is going to be the first one.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Totally. As far as any other moves, I would be. Guys, I think the Orioles would be smarter to trade Machado while at least a team has at least one full season of control, but something tells me that they won't do it until the deadline. If they don't do it quickly, they'll hold on to him until July, but I think that would just be stupid. I think they should do it now. You know what? This runs so counter to what Baltimore has done under Peter Angelos that I think that this actually is going to happen before spring training. I just think that it's not going to happen in the next 24 hours because I think that Baltimore is sorting through the various offers that they have on the table. Reportedly, it's the White Sox, the Cardinals, the Yankees. There are 2 other teams who I'm blanking on, but there are supposedly 5 legitimate teams that are on the board trying to land Manny Machado. So it's just going to be the Orioles deciding what is the best return for them. I think it's going to happen before spring training. Yeah, guys, and I'll tell you right now, and this might sound surprising to you, but I hope that if the Cardinals have offered anything, I hope it's not taken. I mean, I think it's a mistake. No, I don't think Ozuna alone is the answer to their offensive problems, Pete. You've heard me bitch about this for a whole year now. No, I think it's a step in the right direction. They needed to do this, but if you just bring Ozuna in and no protection behind him, he's going to be largely ineffective. He's going to have a down year by stat standards because he had no protection behind him. He had nobody around him. Right. So they do need to add something, but I think I just don't see the Cardinals doing a Machado thing. I would be completely shocked because I don't think they have any any hope of retaining that guy beyond a 1-year rental, and they're going to have to give up so much for him that just, I don't see that happening. I see a Donaldson thing being much more within reach for them, or even a Longoria Colome deal being more likely. That's what I would hope for.
That was the other one that I saw was Evan Longoria.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's on the wrong side of 30, right? And Pete and I are on the wrong side of 40, by the way.
Speak for yourself.
I'm on the wrong side of 40.
Yeah, you are. You're married. You have how many kids? 10,000?
I don't know. A couple. Squared. But
I'm on the right side of 40. You're on the wrong side of 40.
No, I will have somebody that will put me in a nice home when I'm older.
This is true.
And they can pool their money together.
They can.
Who's going to go take care of him? I'm not.
Oh, see, I actually, you know what?
You money to take him in your house.
It'll end up being my daughter that'll take care of me. The boys will have
may end up having an advantage over you because I only have one child who has to. He can't fight over anybody and try to pawn me off on somebody else. He's going to have to take care of me.
Damn. No, see, I've only got one daughter though. And I think she'll be daddy's girl. She'll see me to my end. My boys will be like, "Great. Do you need any money to bury him or anything?" Or
you got this? Because if you do, I'm going to go.
Jamie, I can stop by Harris Teeter and get a propane tank so we can cremate him or something if you need me.
Put you on the big pile of wood.
Like a Viking. I'd go like that.
Oh, Ron wants a Viking funeral.
That's fine. Yeah, I'd do that.
Oh, come on. I figured you guys would go for the funeral.
Just shove my kayak out on Lake Davidson and just light it on fire. it would bounce into the interstate bridge before I would be totally cremated, and I'd be like half decayed, whatever. It's a pleasant thought. All right, guys, great show.
I think so. Welcome, Elliott.
Right.
Hey,
Elliott,
thanks. There's one more interesting topic that I wanted to ask Pete about. I don't know if you read about it, but did you see the Danny Salazar rumblings?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, from the Indians.
There are a bunch of trade rumors with the Cubs, right? There's Danny Salazar, there's Danny Duffy, there's obviously the ever-present Chris Archer trade rumor with the Cubs.
Right, yeah, and I kind of heard that kind of is going down a little bit, and actually the Cardinals are in kind of big on him, is what I heard. From what I read online,
I think that's just because it's Rays related. I think I'm not sure that they're.
Yeah. So as far as Danny Salazar, interesting. I don't know what's going to happen though.
Yeah, I mean, I heard Ian Happ's name being thrown around and a couple others because they're looking for a bat. But
dump him.
If I was going to dump anybody, I'd dump Schwarber over Happ. At least Happ can play.
Hey, he showed up 25 pounds lighter at the winter meetings.
That's great.
That's great. Good.
That's the perfect time to trade him.
Man, you've taken a total different stance.
Well, no,
wind the clock.
No, Happ is I think Happ objectively is a more valuable player than Schwarber. He can actually play defense.
Yeah, and I agree. And he's much angrier than Arrieta. So not only can he play defense, but he takes the place of Kyle Schwarber because he actually can play defense and hit better than Kyle Schwarber.
And he's pissed off.
He's pissed off. So when Jake Arrieta does leave, that negativity, angry bird
immediately transfers to Ian Happ. All we got to do is get him start wearing a flat bill, and we're all set. We've killed two birds with one stone.
A little bit bigger beard and then the flat bill.
We've replaced Arrieta and Schwarber in the lineup.
Yep.
We just need the flat bill.
I need a new Cub hatred target to focus in on. And I just to be honest with you guys, Pete, you heard me say this last year. It's like, you know what? Besides me just being a Cardinal fan and not liking Cubs in general, I'm like, these players individually, there's a few of them that I dislike. I genuinely dislike Arrieta, so I'm sad to see him go.
I hope he signs with the Cardinals.
Hey, I still have Molina.
That ain't gonna happen.
I'm holding out hope.
He's my hate guy.
Molina? How could you hate Molina? God damn, why?
How could you not?
The neck tattoos. And he's always like.
He looks like if he wasn't playing baseball for St. Louis, he would be serving 5 to 10 in San Quentin.
What, like Carlos Zambrano?
He'd have the wife beater.
Carlos Zambrano would have been committed.
No, Carlos Zambrano, he wouldn't be committed.
He would not be in jail. He would be in a lockup. He would be in a padded room.
He beat the shit out of a Gatorade machine, which is like he had a shiv in his hand. He was stabbing it. He was stabbing that Gatorade machine, man. I saw it.
I think I saw him sharpening a toothbrush down in the dugout one day.
Oh man, this took an ugly turn tonight. Everybody,
about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah. Anyway, Pete, you and I we're happy to have another voice on the show.
Absolutely.
I know that Elliott does heavy into social media, and he has to know how to do it, and I definitely don't. I think our audience definitely knows that. I'm so unsure when I'm sending out a tweet if I'm doing it right that it's like going to the dentist. I'm just uncomfortable the whole time. Go ahead.
Like going to the dentist? I thought you were going to say it was like getting into bed. I was unsure. I didn't know if I was doing it right. Next thing you know, I've got 4 kids.
Hashtag just a tip.
Man, you had to go there. Jesus Christ. Maybe I made a mistake by this.
Episode title.
No, it's not the episode title. All right, guys. Pete, let everybody know where they can find us. Once again, please.
Well, they can find us in one more place as of this morning.
Which is good news.
It is good news. But before we get to that, social media, Twitter at Team of Rivals Pod, Instagram, Team of Rivals Podcast, and Facebook, obviously just search for Team of Rivals Podcast. And, maybe one of these days we'll run a contest, 10 in a row? If you can guess the posters of 10 straight posts, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, you'll win some kind of prize, because today was entertaining, because there were a couple of times where I logged on to Twitter in particular and I was like, shit, I don't know if that was Elliott or Ron. So this is going to be good. Online, teamofrivalspodcast.com. You can email us at the show at teamofrivalspodcast.com. And you're listening to us now on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, or TuneIn. And who knows, maybe now you're listening to us on Spotify. And you may very well be watching us on YouTube Live, or you may be watching us after the fact. But regardless, subscribe, like, rate, review, tell your friends about it. Let's make this a thing in 2018. We've only got 2.5 weeks left here in 2017. So 2017, it's gone. Here's your New Year's resolution. Here's your New Year's resolution. Like, rate, and review the Team of Rivals podcast by whatever means it is that you listen to it, and then tell your friends about it. Get more people to listen to us, all right? That's all we ask. It's not too much.
So I think we got to take a look at the last podcast of the year that we do. We got to look at how many likes that we're at on Facebook and decide collectively where we want to be at the end of 2018.
Are you setting performance goals?
Yes.
Live
performance goals, which actually puts us on the spot and makes it it's uncomfortable, man. It's like it's making me clench. It's making me clench.
Hey,
I'm clenching up. You guys can't see it, but I'm clenching up.
All right, gentlemen. Currently at 155.
Oh, 155. All right, Pete. Excellent send away. Elliott, do you want to have any parting words? This is your first official show on the Team of Rivals podcast. Please, do you want to say anything to the crowd on your way out?
Hashtag just the tip.
That is fantastic.
No, thank you guys again for bringing me on. I am looking forward to the rest of these winter meetings, and I am looking forward to the 2018 season. Hell, we are getting close to February, which means pitchers and catchers report in about what are we looking at? 60 days, about somewhere around there.
Feels like an eternity.
That's soon.
Yeah, it's about 60 days.
If anybody doubted if Pete and I were ever on the same page, I just said it's an eternity, and Pete just said it's so close. We've totally been in harmony this whole time. All right, guys. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great support. You know, Pete and I just did our first anniversary show just a couple weeks ago, and we've had a lot of great memories we wouldn't have had if we wouldn't have done something crazy like this. So we're happy to do it. We're also happy to have Elliott on with us now, and looking to grow this thing over the next year. So yes, like Pete said, if you are listening to us, please get on, rate us, review us, share us though, and help us grow this thing. This is a lot of fun. We hope to bring this to you guys for years to come. Guys, it's been fun. We're going to get on here in a couple days, whether you like it or not. And if you guys can't make it, I'm just going to talk into the microphone and have an argument with myself once again. All right. Everyone, Team Rivals Podcast, we're signing off tonight. Bye, everyone. Son of a bitch. I put it on.
What was that you were saying about your percentage increase?
It's I just fixed it. All right, everyone. I love you.
Just the tip.
Bye. Just a tip talk, man. We've been saying that a lot tonight. Did I start that?
You started it.
I did?
You did. Live?
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Bye everyone.
Hey, it's,